Don't get sued. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the biggest mistake that dropshippers and e-commerce business owners make in their journey. And specifically, we're going to talk about the risks that a lot of these people expose themselves to in the world of e-commerce and dropshipping, and the hidden truth that people are getting sued and they're losing their homes, they're losing their livelihoods, they're losing all of their savings, they're having to sell their cars. It's crazy. Nobody's talking about it. The fact that nobody's talking about it means that those people haven't gotten to that point in their careers, or they don't actually do what they're telling you that they do. And in today's video, we're going to talk about it. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, this channel is all things entrepreneurship, e-commerce, dropshipping, Shopify. I've done it. I've worked in this world for years and years and years. I'm not some 20-year-old millionaire, mechanical engineer, been a consultant in this space, and I'm here to deliver free content. I'm never going to sell you anything, and I just enjoy making educational content like that. It's kind of like a no frills thing. I don't do a ton of editing. It's just wealth of information for free. All right, so if you don't live under a rock and you're interested in dropshipping, e-commerce, or just starting a business, you hear all these types of gurus over the internet, but specifically on YouTube. I mean, it started with people like Tai Lopez, like wealth of knowledge, sitting behind my Lamborghini in Beverly Hills, whatever it is. Every guru in this space is telling you about making riches and it's being so easy, $0 startup cost, start tomorrow, run your ad campaign overnight. It's not real, right? And if you do those things, you could lose everything you have in a bad way. Your life could change in a very negative way. If you live in the US, we live in a very litigious world. What does that mean? People sue each other over nothing often. Being in the business world, I can tell you it's real. I can tell you it's real. And let's use an example. So let's say you are selling forks. You want to drop ship forks, and Jane Doe buys your fork and stabs herself in the eye by accident and claims that your product put her in danger and wasn't safe, and she is suing you for $60 million because she'll never be able to work again in her life. Is she going to win the case? I don't know is the reality, but she has every right to sue you. So let's back up for a second. Let's say you were selling forks and you started the night before, like every guru tells you to do, like get online, find the product, start a Shopify store, do the free trial, list it, spend a little in ads, sell your product, you made some money, awesome, you're gonna be rich. So let's say you did that, right? She sues you. Let's say after $50,000 of spending on lawyers, you realize that you have to settle because you don't have another $150,000 to spend on lawyer fees, and she has a payout of $800,000. Let's say you don't have that money. Guess what happens? They go through everything that you own and they force you to sell it to the point where you have to do something called declare bankruptcy. But you only get to do that when you've sold basically all of your possessions that don't involve your living. And if you think a car or something like that involves the necessity to live, you're wrong. You're gonna have to sell your car and give it the money to Jane Doe. If that doesn't sound scary, it should sound scary. There's an easy fix to this. Start an LLC. It's that easy. In Massachusetts, it's actually a little expensive. It's like $600 to start an LLC. Some states it's cheaper. Some states it's really cheap. Starting an LLC takes, 2 or 3 days. It's easy. It's something you can do on your own. Don't pay for any service. You just file it with your federal and local governments. It's pretty easy. And what an LLC does is it separates you and your business, so that if you get sued, it's your business getting sued and there's no tie to you. So let's say you have a $10 million house and you get sued for $10 million, but your business only has 80 grand in it. You can only be forfeited 80 grand because the business doesn't have anything else, and the business goes bankrupt and it disappears and it dies, but your $10 million home is fine because you separated yourself. Now, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a tax accountant, but that's essentially what an LLC will do for you. Now, you've got to do some other things right to make that work. You've got to have separate funds, separate bank accounts, separate credit cards, but those all help you in the long run for your taxes and everything else and, that world. But separate yourself from the business. This is the number one mistake people make. Now, again, this is like insurance. It doesn't happen to everyone. There's no guarantee that you're going to get sued. Also, that solution I'm offering no guarantee is what's going to save you, right? You've got to do a bunch of other things right, but that's the first step. That's the easiest thing to do. And again, if $300, $400, $500, even $600 if you're in Massachusetts sounds scary, don't start a business because you're not going to be able to start a business for $0. Everyone says that, everyone that tells you they can then goes and spends $1,000 on ads because they need to start it within their free trial of Shopify. and then you're like, oh, I need to do that, but I don't have the money, you're stuck, right? They're using money. And if they show you on their YouTube video that they're not using money, they're using money in some way because they need to speed that process up, right? I mean, that's the reality of it. Or they have a following that they can plug products through Instagram or whatever kind of social media. So I think that's essentially the video, right? I mean, take for a grain of salt every piece of content that you're consuming that someone isn't like, the first step is to start an LLC. Understand that that person is either too stupid to understand what they're doing, they're not actually doing what they're claiming they're doing, or I don't know what the other answer is, because that's just the reality of what they're doing. And if they're truly making $2 or $3 million, I can tell you for sure that their accountant and their state and federal government and the IRS is like, why don't you have a business, right? So there's plenty of reasons that weird information is being fed to everyone. If you're thinking about getting into e-commerce, drop shipping, any of that good stuff, even if you're just like, if you're like, I'm going to start a business on Shopify, the first thing that goes through your head should be, I need to get an LLC. And I understand that there's some cost to it. Separate yourself from the business. Don't lose your livelihood after putting in all that hard work for it all to be taken away because someone wants to scam you and try to sue you. It happens. Again, knock on wood, hopefully it doesn't happen to you. Hopefully it doesn't happen to me. But it's an inevitability in the world that we live in. It's what living in a litigious society looks like, and it's just a reality. So other than that, hopefully you guys get started in 2023. Hopefully you have a profitable year, and good luck with all of your ventures. I'll see you in the next video.